Hi guys, as you know, patch 10.1.5 will be released officially next week on Wednesday. And what I want to do in today's video is explain what you should do on day one and during the first week of this new patch in order to make millions of gold. As I always insist on, for many of these new activities, you really want to be amongst the first people to do them because otherwise, the more you wait, the less profit you will be able to make with either new items you can craft or you can farm, and in general with all these new opportunities. So really, if you want to make a lot of gold with all of these, try to make these different things as soon as this new patch will be released. Okay, so let's start with what I think is going to be the most important thing you should do if you want to make a lot of gold with this new patch. And this is simply unlocking the achievement in order to then be able to farm all the different recipes and plants from Naxxramas and Sholomans. So patch 10.1.5 is going to replicate what happened with Zul'Gurub in patch 10.0.7. Basically, in order to get all the different recipes and plants from the raid and also from Sholomans, you will need to first unlock an achievement. And then with this achievement, you will be able to farm all these different plants and recipes inside Naxxramas and Sholomans. So right now, we're not exactly sure what you will need to do in order to get the achievement. But as soon as we will have more information, I'm sure that there will have articles on Warhead, and also I will make sure to publish a video and a guide explaining exactly what you will need to do. Keep in mind, most of the different plants and recipes that you will be able to get from Naxxramas and Sholomans will be BOE, so it means that you will be able to sell them on the auction house, and trust me, you will be able to sell them for a lot of gold, especially if you manage to get the really interesting ones. So this is really one of the first thing you should do. Of course, we probably will have to wait a few days for the people to find out exactly what you need to do. But as soon as we finally have the information, you should do that because this is going to be the best way to make some gold, definitely in this new patch. And also, you will have to farm some currency in order to buy some of these different plants and recipes from this vendor right here. As you can see, you will have to come in the Eastern Plaguelands, and here in the Lights Hope Chapel, you will be able to find Miranda Bridgerock, and basically she's selling these archive crafting techniques. And as you can see, when you use it, it will reveal a random ancient recipe from Lordaeron and its nearby region. So probably this is how you will actually be able to also get some of these plants and recipes. So you will have to farm some of these Argent Dawn Valor token. And this is again something that you should do as soon as the patch is released or as soon as you can try to farm these different Valor tokens, because like that you will be able to buy some of these and hopefully get some really, really good plants and recipes that you can then sell. I believe some of them will also include some plants and recipes that are binds when picked up, but still these are also going to be really interesting. And so if you want to craft some of these items, this is still something you should do directly when it will be possible. Then after that, of course, what you want to do is start crafting some of the new appearances from Naxxramas and also from Sholomans and everything as soon as possible. Because some of these items are going to sell really, really well for a lot of gold. But again, you want to be amongst the first people to do that, because if you wait too long, then probably a lot of people are going to catch up and then the value is going to decrease a lot. So the sooner you can do that, the better it is. And keep in mind, with patch 10.1.5, you will be able to actually transfer some of these different items on every realm in your region for free. So definitely try to do that as well, because like that, when you unlock a recipe, you can then craft a bunch of them and try to sell them on multiple realms at the same time. I will publish a video really soon, including some of the best items you can try to farm, because not all of them are going to be interesting, but some of them, trust me, will be extremely, extremely good. For instance, if I take blacksmithing, of course, you will be able to craft the very, very famous Ice Band set. For instance, this one is definitely something that will sell super, super fast and really well, and probably for a lot of gold during the first few days. And then you have so many other things that can also sell for a lot of gold. Again, keep in mind, not all these new items will be interesting. Some of them will be pretty bad, but some of them will really be nice. For instance, you have this weapon here, this shield, and then one of them that I think is going to be the best seller is this cosmetic headpiece right here. and this one will be with tailoring. So anyway, probably tomorrow I will publish the list of all the best items and transmogs you can craft in this new patch. Try to have a look and try to really target these different items. And for that, I would definitely recommend you to have a look probably on Oribos Exchange or on your auction house in general and try to find some of these different BOE plants and recipes, because if you can buy some of them for a cheap price, then you will definitely be able to make a big profit on top of it if you manage to then craft them and sell them on many other realms. So even if sometimes you'll have to spend maybe 400,000 gold, 500,000 gold on one of these BOE plants and recipes, if you do it early enough and you're amongst the first people crafting these different items, trust me, you'll be able to reimburse that and make a big profit with that. So this is also my personal recommendation. I know not everyone has a lot of money to spend on these different plants and recipes, and probably a lot of you will prefer farm them yourself, but this is something I would still recommend you to keep an eye on. Then what I would recommend you to do is to start farming some of the new materials from patch 10.1.5 that will be needed for most of these different crafts. So for instance, you have the frozen rune that you can get in Naxxramas. I made a video yesterday explaining how you will be able to farm these different runes. And next to that, you also have like different type of items, but especially the Warthorn scraps. And again, these are dropping from some of the trash mobs inside Naxxramas. So these different type of items are going to be in high demand early in the patch, and keep in mind again, people are not able to farm them in advance. So probably if you're amongst the first people farming a lot of them, you will be able to sell them for quite a lot of gold. So this is again something I would recommend you to do. It's not going to long forever, it's not going to last forever. So probably like after 1-2 weeks, the value of these different materials is going to crash down, and then it's not going to be that interesting to do this farm. But for the first few days, this is definitely something I would recommend you to do. Again, we're not entirely sure whether you will already need to have the achievement unlock in order to start farming and receiving some of these materials. But again, this is something we'll have to wait and see when the patch will go live. Then after that, what I would recommend you to do is to simply try and find some cheap auctions for some of these different BOE plants and recipes, buy them and resell them for a profit. This is a little bit risky, but trust me, probably you will be able to find some of them for a really, really cheap price. And if you manage to sell them back fast before there are too many people also farming and selling these different items, you might be able to make a lot of profit on these different BOE plants and recipes. What I would recommend you to do in order for you to make it easy to find some of these cheap auctions is to use the Undermine Exchange. Basically, you can go on your region and then you can type the name of each of the different plants and recipes you're interested in. And then like that, you will be able to see the quantity on your region and especially where they're all located and what are the realms with the cheapest auctions possible. So then like that, you can go and you can decide to buy some of them if you find some really, really cheap ones. Keep in mind, a lot of people are going to be doing that. So probably as soon as you see something, it's probably going to be sniped after a few minutes, but still, this is something you should definitely keep an eye on and keep in mind again, as you will now be able to directly transfer gold on other realms for free. You can do that very easily, especially if you have a second account and you can do that with another character from your second account. After that, what I would recommend you to do, again, to enjoy this new cross-realm trading system is to simply try and identify what items you have, maybe like duplicates and things you can craft on your main realm, and then try to send some of these on other realms where you can start selling them as well for even more gold. Like that, you will be able to not only have one market, but really try to sell them on multiple markets. These are, of course, only for items that are really interesting, really valuable, because otherwise probably a lot of them are going to get devalued really, really fast with a lot of people doing that. But again, try to do that because you might be able to sell really fast a lot of these items at the same time on different realms. Then with all your level 70 characters, what I would recommend you to do is to try as soon as possible to do the new dungeon, the Dawn of the Infinite, because on the last boss, you will have a chance at getting this mount, the Reigns of the Quantum Cursor. And as now you are able to actually trade gold to people from your region, you will be able to sell this mount for a lot of gold with your different group mates. So this is something I would recommend you to do. Keep in mind, this is extremely rare, so probably it's going to be difficult to actually get it. But if you manage to get it, probably you'll be able to sell it for 500,000 gold, 1 million gold, who knows. This is something, again, that also remember you'll be able to get some nice pieces of loot, and there are also like a lot of really, really nice transmog pieces that are being included into the game with this new dungeon. So even if you don't manage to get the mount, you will still be able to get a lot of really interesting gear, trinkets, and everything. But again, in my opinion, this is something worth mentioning and worth doing in order to make a little bit more gold. Then, as always, what I would recommend you to do is to farm some of the new pets that will be added with this new patch. Simply because when you arrive in a new patch, there is a high demand for all these different pets. And often you are able to sell them for quite a lot of gold. And keep in mind, even if you're playing on a low pop realm, you can always learn it on this low pop realm and then cage it on another realm where you know there is a better market for these different type of pets. I'm not exactly sure how many pets we're getting, but I know that we're getting quite a lot. For instance, we're getting a lot with the time rifts. As you can see, all of them, I believe, will be things you will be able to cage. So this is, again, a really good opportunity to then sell them and make some profit with some of them. So as soon as we get more information on how to get some of these new pets and everything, try to get your hands on some of them, and hopefully you will be able to sell them for a lot of gold before they become like not so valuable. And of course, it's important to mention that you should only try to really farm the ones that you can actually then cage and trade, because otherwise you won't be able to make any gold. So for instance, all the new whelpings from the daycare whelping, you won't be able to trade them, as you can see. So if you are trying to farm these in order to then make some gold, this is not a good idea. Try to really always make sure to first check if you will be able to then sell the pet on the auction house, because otherwise you will just end up with the pet in your collection, but you won't be able to make any gold with it. One thing worth mentioning is the fact that also in patch 10.1.5, we should be able to get some new customization options for the Grotto Netherwing Drake. This is the new dragon riding mount that you can get through the trading post in July. Right now, we have no clue exactly how you will be able to unlock and get these different customization options, but it's pretty sure that some of them will be through inscription. So it means that you might be able to farm some of the different BOE techniques that then people with inscription can use to craft and just answer crafting orders for these different customization options. If that's the case, I'm pretty sure that these different techniques, again, if they're BOEs, will sell for a lot of gold on the auction house. And so definitely, this is something you should keep an eye on. Again, right now, we have no clue exactly how you will be able to unlock these different options. Finally, with patch 10.1.5, we are getting some other legacy plans and recipes for, as you can see, blacksmithing, cooking, inscription, and leatherworking. So I'm not including them in the different ones that you can get from Naxxramas and Cholomance, simply because these are not really that interesting. But still, I think it's worth mentioning that this is something you will be able to do. So just have a look at the ones that you might think are going to be interesting, and maybe you want to invest a little bit of time to try and farm some of them, either sell the different plants and recipes if they are BOEs on the auction house, or craft some of the items and try to sell them on multiple realms. Again, it's really, really not the most interesting items overall, so I would recommend you to first try to get the ones from Naxxramas and Cholomance. But again, just something I wanted to briefly mention, and as you can see, there are a few items that you will be able to craft that have been removed from the game before. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I really hope it will help you make some gold when the patch will be released. Again, keep in mind, you have many different things you can do, so don't worry if you miss out on a few things. You should definitely try to do some of these as soon as possible. But again, if you cannot do it, it's fine, and I'm sure you'll still find ways to make a lot of gold with all the new things that we are getting in this new patch. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos, and in the meantime, I wish you all a great weekend. Bye!